Well, howdy there, pipe pals. How y'all doing? It is I, the Holy Smoking Pipe Padre, on a Thursday evening on November the 17th, I think it is, the year of our Lord, 2016. Yeah, so anyway, I am smoking my Peterson Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes. And in this pipe, I am smoking some just basic Navy Flake from the Briar Patch. And just taking a moment to say hello to you. It's about 9 o'clock at night here, a little bit after 9. And I think I'm listening to an overture by Sir Arthur Sullivan, but I could be wrong. Let's see. Just guessing off the top of my head. Something by Sir Arthur Sullivan.
A concert overture in dance style. Arthur Sullivan wrote it. And Alexander
What can I say?
Ferris led the Scottish Chamber Orchestra on Capri.
So, well, how y'all doing?
And 88.7
I'm kind of starting to unwind a little bit.
radio's governing body are open to the public. Dates, times, and
It's been a very busy day.
website, capradio.com.
Had lots of what I call drive-by, last-minute kind of appointments. So sometimes when you're not completely planning for those things, you kind of feel like you're juggling, because all of a sudden you say yes to one thing and then you get 2 or 3 more that, oh, okay, I'd like to be able to say yes and help somebody else out. So it was kind of one of those kind of interesting days. It wasn't planned, but it had a lot of unexpected things, but it had a lot of good things as well. Getting ready to go on a little bit of a vacation, a little vacaciones here. So this weekend, after the last service, I'll be taking about a week off. And just kind of relaxing a bit. Got some projects I want to get done. Might even get back to pipe restoring and polishing. So anyway, yeah, one of the things today that was a kind of a unexpected surprise. Let's see if I can do this here. Okay. All right, there you go. Let me show you over here. We've got, believe it or not, we've got the MacBook Pro 13-inch. I really think this is the ideal one for me. Now this has the touch bar. I actually got, you can see the touch bar there. I actually got the base one a little while ago, but oops, I decided that I was going to turn that one back in, because it was still, I had that 14-day period of turning things back in. You know, if they don't work out, even if you have buyer's remorse, you can still turn it back in after 14 days. And so these were not supposed to be out for probably another week or 2, but it showed up today, and I was really excited, and I wanted to, in fact, I'll probably be using this one to actually edit this video that you're watching right now. So this will probably be edited on a brand new MacBook Pro 2016. I decided to go for the 13-inch. Normally I'd like to go with the 15-inch, which has a little bit more power, a little more processing power, and also has a dedicated GPU. But this one is an integrated GPU, which makes it not as stellar of a performer for video editing, but it still is going to do a great job. It's just not going to be as a little bit as quick as is the 15-inch. But the reason I like the 13-inch, I like the portability, which I think is great. It's just a little bit heavier, but not much, than the actual new MacBook that came out earlier this year. So anyway, I decided I was going to get that as kind of a compromise in between the MacBook and my other 15-inch MacBook, my one I got like 4 years ago, which is really a stunner as well, and it still works really fine. But it probably is a little bit slower than this one will be. So anyway, so I will see actually testing this first Final Cut Pro and using the new Touch Bar, which actually has some very endearing features. Now I wanted to say something about the MacBook Pro 16 edition. You know, again, I might have said this before when I gave my little defense of the MacBook 2016, MacBook Pro 2016. And I know some people, you know, probably took umbrage with that video. No big surprise there. But I had yet to get to the actual article in hand. In fact, that was one of my points. I said, you know, a lot of people are trashing this one because they haven't even gotten a chance to even really test it. All they're doing is looking basically at the specs and what other people have said, instead of really being able to make up their own minds based upon real life experience. Well, real life experience, again, I have to say, two things. One, I want to make a disclaimer. I am not an actual professional video editor. So I'm not downloading stuff from, say, a Red camera or a really super professional 4K camera, or, you know, really high-end photography where I would need an SD card perhaps. So for my basic needs in video editing, but I am a video editor, such as it is. Okay, I mean, I edit my own videos, so oh boy. And so the thing that I have discovered that, okay, backwards compatibility is an issue. It's important. It really is important. But okay, here's my critique, or my question to those who are kind of opposed, or are kind of trashing and really kind of showing no love for the new MacBook Pro 16, 2016 edition. Everybody keeps talking about the legacy ports. That really seems to be the big bugaboo. It doesn't have an SD card reader. It doesn't have this. It doesn't have that. You know, one of the things that I miss is the MagSafe. I like MagSafe. I think MagSafe was pretty darn cool. You can buy, if you really need to have that added back, you can get one from, I guess, it's a company called Belkin, and maybe there'll be other knockoffs of it, but basically it basically is an adapter that basically makes your MacBook Pro 16, or even the MacBook 2016 a MagSafe kind of a setup, you know. So again, if you're really interested in that, you can still do that, and that's great. But here's the thing. Look at this. I was sitting there thinking, okay, one of the big things is you can't plug in, without an adapter, you can't plug in a flash drive. Well, here's a flash drive. And believe it or not, I don't need an adapter to plug this flash drive into that computer. Let me show you. Yep, that was sleight of hand, folks. That really was. And that's not a trick. That is what it really looked like. Going from a USB-C conventional to a USB-C 3. And I said, I started thinking about, there's got to be new technology for USB-C 3, and here it is. This is a 32 or 36 gigabyte flash drive. And so it plugs directly into one of the ports on my new MacBook Pro. But here's the thing for me. This video, it will be transferred wirelessly from my iPhone, which I'm using right now, my iPhone 7 Plus, onto the MacBook Pro 2016. I don't need to put it on a flash drive. I don't need to put it on an SD card reader. I don't need to plug it in from my phone into the computer to download it. You know, AirDrop has just, I think it's one of the coolest things. It's slicker than, you know, snot on a glass doorknob. You know, it's just that slick. It's just like, well, you know, the problem was always having to find a way, you know, to download your videos, your audios, your files onto your computer from your phone. Now, some people will say, yeah, that works fine if you have an iPhone. But what if you have, say, an Android phone? I don't know if Android phones would do AirDrop between that and a Mac. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. They may need to have a special cable to hook up to your Mac. Okay. And they make it. In fact, what's interesting is that I think Android phones are USB-C 3 as well. So all you need to do is get yourself a USB-C cable, which actually comes with the MacBook, and you can do that. So you got a cable for that. So anyway, but I just think that there's just a lot of needless, and I'm starting to see more and more videos where people are going, you know, it's not that big of a deal, and it's not. And I said that, you know, a few weeks ago, and I just don't think that it needs to be heartburn. Now, I will be honest that when you want to be backwards compatible, there are times that, you know, you find with the newer technology, it's not so easily backwards compatible. I had an experience of that just about a month and a half ago when I wanted to burn a DVD. Remember DVDs? You don't? Oh, that's probably before you were born. The problem is that, you know, Macs used to be kind of king at burning DVDs. They were just like, that was one of the things that people got a Mac for, is because you could burn your iTunes, you could burn, you know, all sorts of things onto DVDs, and people loved that feature. I mean, I produced a lot of DVDs for my prison ministry every week. You know, I would, you know, I'd use Final Cut Pro, shoot the video, edit the video, and then I'd put it on a DVD so it could be played at the prison on the CCTV. So DVD authoring was very, very important. But who really uses DVDs? I mean, I know that there are a lot of people that still use DVDs, but I'm just saying that for me, right now, it's something that I just don't spend a lot of time burning DVDs. Maybe other people do. So it would probably be a real pain in the rear end to have to, you know, well, I don't think it would be that big of a pain, but you just have to get the USB basic adapter and plug in a external super drive, and then you could probably go from there. So anyway, I'm just saying that as far as current technology goes, the things that I have needs for on a daily basis, my basic workflow, we'll see. I have no doubt that this will be great. So as I make this video to you tonight, I will be editing it on this new MacBook Pro 2016 model. It's in space gray, and just, you know, see how it goes. I don't think I'm going to have any problems, because the last couple of weeks I have discovered this AirDrop, and that has just been the coolest thing, because I used to always have a problem downloading videos and audio files and other files onto the computer, but it's wireless now. So it's like the optical drives when they started taking those out of the MacBooks. Like, well, what are we going to do? Well, when you really stop and think about it, today, right this moment, you probably don't need it. There's a better workaround, or there's a better workflow And it's better. It's just better. And so, yeah, the frustration comes is when you're still using other things that require the legacy ports. And I'll give you that. I'm not saying that that's not a concern, but there are workarounds, and maybe they're not as elegant as maybe you'd like, but that's because you're trying to be backwards compatible. If you're trying to be current technology today and moving in the future, then it's not an issue, because you're moving, you're already using the contemporary, the stuff that's current right now. So if you're wanting to use current workflows, chances are this machine is going to be everything you're looking for, and maybe a little bit more. Who knows? So anyway, that's what I wanted to say about that. Just want to say, in conjunction with, talking about my day, I had a chance to run out there and get one of they only had 2 in store, and I found this one and I got it. So I was really happy. It was a little bright spark in my day, so I'm happy about that. Excuse me. So even though it's been a busy day, it's been, had a lot of good things going on too. It's beautiful weather outside. Life is good. Getting ready for Thanksgiving next week and all sorts of really good things. Okay, so I know that a few people were not too happy with the old Padre on his election, post-election ramblings. That's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine. It's still a free country. Thanks be to God. But I guess the one thing I wanted to say is in another little kind of a post-election kind of mind set here. You have to kind of excuse me. I'm just getting a little bit tired. It's getting on 10 o'clock here, and it'll be, it's almost 9:30, so going on 10. So I'm a little on the tired side. I'm starting to feel it. And those of you out there who are really still upset about the election, God bless you. It'll be okay, I believe. But I just think it's I don't know what it is. It's fascinating, if nothing else, that the media that pretty much trashed Donald Trump all throughout the campaign, the pre-election, they're doing the exact same thing with his transition to being president-elect to being president on January 20th. Everything he does is wrong. All of his appointments are wrong. All these people are bad. They're having problems. The world leaders are refusing to talk to him. The world is just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. I mean, it's like, guys, didn't you learn anything? Why doesn't the mainstream media try for once, just once, to be objective? That's all. Just be objective. I started thinking about something. The big bugaboo word now is racist. Everybody's a racist, except those that aren't. And I said, why does this sound familiar? There's something familiar going on here. And I finally think I put my finger on it. Back in the 1950s and early 60s, everybody was a communist. That was the big bad word. Everybody's a communist. Better, well, I wouldn't say better red than dead, but again, there were a lot of people that were saying that, there were always communists, and it infiltrated the government, the entertainment industry. Well, that's true. But anyway, everybody was a communist. And that was the slur that you would level at somebody if you wanted to put them in a bad light. You're a communist, or you're a communist sympathizer, Well, now the big bugaboo word is you're a racist, or you're a bigot, And everything boils down to racist and bigot, bigot and racist. And basically what they're saying is if you got any kind of conservative leanings, you're a racist. Well, I don't think that's going to work very much longer. In fact, I think it's starting to get a little old. Just to call somebody a racist, it doesn't work anymore. And I have to say that, you know what, in some ways, again, I'm not necessarily a Donald Trump supporter. I didn't vote for the man. But I think there's a lot of fear. A lot of young people have been fed a lot of talking points. And a lot of them are just, I have to say, a lot of the protesters that I've seen, they're kind of ne'er-do-wells that have nothing else going on, you know? And it's sort of like, you know, it's almost like kind of like Halloween. It's kind of like an extended Halloween where they get to go and dress up and say nasty words out loud, and it's all fun. It's all fun and games, really. I'm not saying that some of them aren't genuinely concerned, but they've been led to be told that all these things that are bad, you know, that have been manufactured by the media. So on one hand, I'm not surprised really about the all the people that are angry still and will continue to be for the next 4 years. Could be worse. It could be the next 80 years. I'm sorry if I triggered you. Sorry about that. If that was a shock to you, if you weren't ready for that one, sorry. But it is a possibility. And I just think the bottom line is this. They're not reacting to, I don't think, Trump per se, but it's a lot deeper than that. And again, it has to go back to a conservative ideology. For some reason, we have taught young people the two greatest virtues are tolerance and acceptance. Well, those are good virtues to have, but there's something even more important, that is the principle of truth. And a lot of young people never got taught that during school. They got kind of fed a diet of Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and safe spaces, and bubbles, and Play-Doh, and, you know, kittens, and puppies, and safe spaces, and all this nonsense. You know, and if people disagree with you, that's bad. You know, if they don't go with what most people consider to be quote unquote politically correct, then they're bad. They're not bad, they just have a different opinion. And again, a lot of people don't see the value in conservative principles. They just don't. You know, because we've been taught to, you know, basically be very progressive, and instead of, you know, looking at the value of being conservative. Conservatism is a very good thing. You know, but it's one of those kinds of things that you don't appreciate it if you don't exercise it, if you haven't been, you know, trying to apply it to your life. For example, if you drink too much, you're going to get drunk. If you continue to drink heavily on a daily basis, you'll get cirrhosis of the liver and you'll die. A conservative principle is somebody who has to say no to themselves, or maybe even no to a loved one. This is killing you. You've got to stop it. Again, if you don't apply a conservative ability to, say, overeating, you're going to overeat, and again, you look down the scale and you gain 10, 5, 20 pounds over the holidays, which are coming up. And if you just practiced a little bit of conservatism, saying no to yourself, say, instead of having, you know, 2 pieces of apple pie, I'll just have 2 bites of apple pie. Instead of having, you know, 3rds and 4ths and turkey sandwiches later on, hey, I've been there, done that. But kind of, you know, being a bit prudent and saying, I'm going to enjoy this meal, but I'm not going to wolf it down. There's going to be plenty left over, and I want to savor this delicious meal, okay? So you apply a little bit of, you know, restraint, conservative restraint, And believe it or not, you probably might enjoy the experience not only during the experience, but afterwards, because you won't feel like you're a balloon that's ready to pop. You won't feel sick the next day, especially if you mix booze in with all that. You know, you won't be going to the porcelain god and going, Ralph! You won't be doing that. Sad to say, I am speaking from personal experience. But you'll wake up the next day probably feeling a little bit better, that you exercised a little bit of temperance in both eating and drinking, and you will say, that was a nice meal we had yesterday, and you'll be able to appreciate it. If you have conservative values in, say, savings or, housekeeping, you don't have a pile of dirty dishes in the morning because you took the discipline to wash them the night before. Yeah, it's a drag. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you'd like to leave them in there. But if you want to experience the positiveness of waking up to a clean kitchen and ready to start the new day and not being depressed and walking into a kitchen full of dirty dishes and a bunch of messes that you didn't clean up the night before with cockroaches crawling all around because you didn't clean up after yourself. Again, it's the gift. Conservatism is a gift that you give to yourself. It's the gift of prudence. It's the gift of temperance. It's not indulgence. We live right now in a society that just it's running away with self-indulgence. I want. Gimme. I need. And that's not going to get anybody anywhere. Oh, it feels good for a time, but you pay such a huge price. You will pay a huge, huge price. Yes, I know there are a lot of people that are upset and mad as hell, and nothing actually has happened yet. But there's an old saying, and I'm going to end my little video tonight with this saying. It's a wise saying, and it's a true saying. Life's not always fair. You don't always get what you want, and it will cost you far more than you ever dreamed that it would. And those are 3 secrets to life that, if you really think about it, there's a lot of truth to that. And you need to let truth be your guiding principle, not feelings, not being tolerant, not being accepting. Again, those are not bad things in and of themselves, but that's not what a society is built upon and what an individual's life is built upon. It's built upon truth, and if you are obedient to the truth, I guarantee you will have a great quality life. Something to think about. So light up your world, light up your pipe. Holy Smoking Pipe Padre is signing off for now. So long.